Good afternoon, you web bastards, and welcome back to World of Warships with Koala. And in today's video, we're going to feature a collection of battles, or a collection of moments, which I'm going to call a guide to not giving a fuck. See, you have these moments occasionally in games like this, where every ship, or every vehicle or unit has their own specific playstyle, the optimal ways in which you're supposed to use whatever unit you're using, where players just decide, you know what, why don't we try something really stupid? Which usually doesn't work, but when it does, it can make for some pretty spectacular and / hilarious results. Take this battle for example. We're in the Tier 6 US Navy light cruiser, the Dallas. The MO of a ship like the Dallas is to just spam as many high explosive shells at anybody who comes into range, using islands as cover, or perhaps friendly smokescreens so that you can fire undetected. Basically, you use your rate of fire and damage over time, or DPM, damage per minute, to absolutely melt through the health pools of enemies that cannot hit you in return, which is currently what we're attempting to do to this pawn Normandy. As a light cruiser, the last thing you want to do is make yourself a target, because the way you do damage is generally over long periods of time. You don't have a lot of that instantaneous punch, and if anybody is able to tune their guns in on you, you'll be dead long before they will. But on the other hand, from a position such as the one I'm in currently, visually covered by an island small enough that I can still fire over the top of it, you can literally rain down fire on your opponents with relative impunity, and do significant amounts of damage over time. So naturally, what you're about to see is the exact opposite of the way you're supposed to play a light cruiser, but in this circumstance, well, it just about worked. It wasn't smart, but hey, if it looks stupid but works, it's still stupid, you just got lucky. A bit of context for you. The flank I was shooting from got me a decent 35,000 damage before all the enemy ships that were over there got sick and tired of having high explosive shells spammed at them by somebody they couldn't hit. What a shame they didn't have a ship on their team that can spot targets no matter where they are or what cover they're hiding behind. But they all moved over to the other side of the map. Unfortunately, I couldn't chase after them for two reasons. One, there was a destroyer between me and them, remaining undetected, who would have lit me up for them, preventing me making it to the next island before eating citadels from every direction. And the other being this damned battleship, who decided to come all the way over here on his own, with his turrets facing in the wrong direction. So there were two options, either take the long way around and try to find a new position, or move myself into a kiting attitude over the other side of the map, or deal with this Iron Duke first. Who of course is doing the sensible British battleship thing and just launching high explosive. Now there was a way to handle this situation without just charging in there and presenting this player with every opportunity to citadel me to death before I'm able to get inside his turret traverse. But ain't nobody got time for that. After all, this guy came all the way out here, alone, with his turrets facing the wrong direction, and then upon being presented with a light cruiser with barely enough armour to play dodgems with destroyers, decided to load high explosive. Yeah, I'm not too worried, let's have some fun. Yeah, that just happened. But of course, no good deed goes unpunished, and those friendly torpedoes fired by the Italian cruiser. Whoopsie daisies. Before we get into the next match I want to show you, once again, not because it was particularly well played, just because of the couple of yeah that happened moments in it. Hey, what can I say, it's satisfying to pull off the stupidest move imaginable and get away with it. But before we get to that, does anybody else go to sleep at night dreaming about Omaha broadsides? I shouldn't be here. I really should not have pushed this far into the map in a light cruiser as bad as the Emerald. Seriously, British light cruisers get really, really good later on. But the Emerald obviously didn't get that memo. So when you see an Omaha sailing around showing you broadside, you take the opportunity. Oh jeez, that hurt. I told you this wasn't a particularly good move. But not as badly as this is going to. Somehow, haven't managed to find the Citadel yet, and we're gonna have to smoke up here. Not really sure how these 6-inch shells can shatter against armour as thin as the majority of destroyers, but there we go. And that's not gonna be the last. That is. Oh, I love them. I mean, that wasn't a good move. That was not a good move. But my god, did I enjoy it. And that's good enough, to be honest. It's tier 5. Tier 10, I can imagine my teammates getting a wee bit pissed off with me, but tier 10, I'd be playing a more competent ship. This is derp tier. Nonetheless, there are a couple of battleships encroaching. We're nice and smoked up now. At least we do get access to both smoke and torpedoes on this ship. So let's just see what those torpedoes can go and fish out. Now, keep in mind, I had no torpedo lead indicator for the Warspite when I actually launched those. He'd long since been undetected because I pushed way ahead of my team. So the fact that those 3 torpedoes managed to find 30,000 damage worth of targets to hit is one thing. But believe it or not, that wasn't the Warspite. So that was fun, and at tier 5 in a tier 7 match in this thing, 53,000 damage isn't even particularly bad for a whole game. I assume most players would say losing 20,000 health to do 16,000 damage to a bottom tier light cruiser isn't exactly a good trade-off. But now, yeah, I think I got my money's worth. Unfortunately, that's meant that if we want to do any more damage now though, and if we want to make sure our team can actually win this one, we're going to have to play out the rest of this game with only 3,000 health left. Alright, 4,000, and with another heal, we're actually going to drag that back up to 5,000. Unfortunately though, our friend in the Warspite was able to spot us, and almost ended things just there. And I did do a wee bit more damage in the section of footage I cut out, and also took another 1,000 damage in return, but it wasn't that interesting. Mostly just hiding, trying to get back into friendly waters after rushing right into the jaws of the entire enemy team and somehow making off with over 50,000 damage alive. Oh, our zone is being capped out. Well, given that the Sinop is just on the other side of the cap, there's only one place the sneaky bastard can be, and only one ship it really can be, the Mutsuki. Now he immediately smokes up as I spot him, which was a smart decision. After all, there's a cruiser and 2 battleships that are going to start shooting at him as long as they can see him. Trying to hang around in that smoke to cap, however? That's just asking for a paddling. Swing her around, Captain, starboard torpedo tubes to bear, and we are definitely going to need to skedaddle ourselves if we don't want to eat the inevitable return torpedoes. There's just one problem with this strategy, however. About 33,000 tons of it. It's our friend in the Warspite. Yeah, well, it was only a matter of time, wasn't it? But that Mutsuki is still hanging around in the cap. I bet he was thinking, oh, thank God for that Warspite. I'm saved. Right up until the torpedo found him. Oh god. I should not get away with this shit. It's very nice having torpedoes on your cruisers, because if you're playing them aggressively, they can often get rushed by enemies with a much bigger alpha strike than you. And a light cruiser, that can be a real problem because you need time to do your damage. You don't have a lot of stopping power. If someone really wants you dead, then they're going to sink you faster than you can do anything about it. Heavy cruisers have a fair amount of stopping power, that ability to just immediately shut down anyone who steps out of line. Torpedoes, well, that's in the job description. This is TAL 379 and the premium German Tier 8 heavy cruiser, the Prince Eugen. He's in a Tier 10 battle, and there are 2 battleships trying to rush down him and the Donskoy here. Ordinarily, this is what we refer to in my homeland of Scotland as a problem. Not so for TAL 379. Being threatened by 2 battleships, one of them the most hilariously broken hunk of Russian bias in the whole game. Come to daddy, lads. There goes the Richelieu. Let's see the Kremlin will fall for this as well. I mean, I'd say he's had to grind all the way to Tier 10 and should be smarter than this, but he's grinded out the Russian battleship line. That's different. And he clearly hadn't had time to learn that, yes, the Prince Eugen does have that many torpedoes. Of course, if you want stopping power though, you can't beat a battleship. Particularly a Tier 10 battleship. Particularly the Tier 10 battleship we just watched get absolutely curb-stomped, being played by someone who actually understands the capabilities of the ships he's fighting. Lads and lasses, please welcome back to the channel, Paul Ferradi, who's been a busy boy since we last saw him in a Russian battleship. He's unlocked his Kremlin. Who the fuck let this bastard behind the wheel of a Kremlin? Paul Ferradi has just found himself in very much a target-rich environment. There's a Montana, a Minotaur, a Bismarck, a North Carolina, and a Mogami, all trying to prevent him from capturing this zone. In other words, it's a fair fight. Actually, even a top-tier battleship as hilariously broken as the Kremlin can't deal with 5 ships catching it in a crossfire. But fortunately, the cyclone that just moved in has reduced visibility down to 8 kilometers. The Minotaur seems to think he'll be able to find Paul Ferradi anyway. I mean, the Kremlin is, to use technical terms, a big bitch. Yeah, there's just one problem with that strategy, Minotaur. I'm not over there. Just look at the number of shells that Minotaur threw aimlessly into this cap circle. And there's the cap. Before you see what you're about to see, just keep in mind that the Kremlin is, in effect, a Tier 11 battleship. It has the highest HP pool in the whole game, the best turret traverse and rudder shift for any Tier 10 battleship, somehow better penetration than the Yamato at range, the best in the game, close to, if not the best torpedo protection, some of the most accurate guns for a Tier 10 battleship, the best armour, particularly on the deck, which makes it almost immune to all HE spammers. IFHE won't help you here, lads, I'm sorry. And some of the best concealment for a top tier battleship in the whole game. Because reasons. Wargaming, therefore, obviously thought that they needed to nerf it with update 090, so what did they do? Well, obviously, they reduced the health of its AA mounts by 50%. You don't help yourselves, do you, Wargaming? Anyway, all that, and this is still going to be a lesson in just not giving a fuck. So pay attention. Ah, hello, Minotaur. Got a bone to pick with you. Open fire, Paul Ferradi. Just the one turret? Okay. Oh, you cheeky little bastard. Now that's the Bismarck's defensive fighter making passes there, which means the Bismarck is just... Yep, there he is. That Montana is spotted on the minimap, though just beyond 8 kilometers. Oh, hi torpedoes. They're not going to hit anything, but who launched them? Was that the Minotaur? Oh well, no time. More important things to worry about. That Montana is definitely over there. Well, you miss every shot you don't take. Give it a whirl then. Yep, there he is. Time to go hunt down our dinner, eh? Oh, and there's the North Carolina. And there's the North Carolina Citadel. few seconds later, the Mogami tries to sneak out. No you don't, I'm afraid. Chalk up another one, lads. Pulveradi's on a roll and it's not likely to stop anytime soon. Use the other turret to shave 10,000 health off the Montana, which is definitely just as good as the Kremlin. No, really, we promise. And finally, in just a few seconds, the North Carolina is going around the corner to the left thinking, well, his guns are pointing that way. Battleships have slow traversing guns, right? Yeah, it would have been a good tactic, but unfortunately for you, no one translated that rule into Russian, so... goodbye. And that, my friends, is how you play World of Warships without giving a fuck. Although I could have just used the last couple of matches and titled this video A Guide to Dishing Out Savage Paddlings. I hope you have enjoyed this one and that you'll leave a like if you did, subscribe if you haven't, and make sure to head to the link in the description to support Koala's Australian Bushfires appeal. Thank you lads all for watching, have a lovely good day, and always remember, keep your bagpipes in one hand, whiskey in the other, keep your kilt on, and I'll catch you next time. I say a wee thank you to these lads for supporting me on Patreon. Rosekill, Metallic Green, Church, Crescent, Captain Fibar, The Britlander, Seagull Nuts, D8261, Latvian Wolf, Gisliga Darson, and Dark Recon. You lads are bro. Want to join them? Come check out Patreon at the link in the description below.